Hello, everybody.
Okay, Micah Shabazz. Jump right up to the table. Thank you. All right, looks like I have an FTA warrant, a bond violation, and a fresh, so I guess I'll start with the fresh one. On the record in state of Michigan versus Micah Amir Khalil Shabazz. Appearance, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. Jonathan Foreman, Office of Public Defender, here with Mr. Shabazz for the purpose of arraignment today.
Are you Micah Shabazz?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Mr. Shabazz, this is your arraignment. What I have here is a felony complaint. This alleges that on or about March 1st, 2025, in the 1000 block of South Holmes in the city of Lansing, you did knowingly or intentionally possess methamphetamine. That is a felony punishable by 10 years and or $15,000. Do you understand the charge and the possible penalty?
Yes.
You have the right to have an attorney in this matter. If you can't afford one, we'll see if the public defender will represent you. You have the right to a trial that could be by jury. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say orally or in writing will be used against you in court. You have the right to have an attorney present with you during any questioning by law enforcement. Do you understand your rights so far?
Yes.
Would you like a public defender to assist you in this case? Did you say no? Is that a yes? Okay, thank you. Since you have a felony charge, you have the right to have a preliminary examination. That's a hearing where the government must bring some evidence to demonstrate probable cause to believe the felony occurred and probable cause to believe that you're the person who committed the felony. Before you go to preliminary exam, you have a probable cause conference. That's a day where you, your lawyer, and the prosecutor make sure you know all the evidence and information to be ready for preliminary exam. Probable cause conference will be March 13, 8:30 with Judge Flores. Preliminary exam will be March 20, 8:30 also with Judge Flores. That first hearing date might be done by video conferencing like we're doing now, but if you can't video conference or don't know how, you should come in person, don't miss your court date. The second date, March 20, that's absolutely in person, as evidence and testimony may be presented at that time.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Shabazz, are you on probation, parole, or bond in any court?
No, I'm paying off fines in Clinton County though right now.
Well, I have a bond violation here, so I'm going to say yes, you're already on bond with Judge Flores for a domestic violence case.
How long ago was? I'm sorry, ma'am. I didn't understand.
Yeah, okay. The address they wrote down for me here is on the North Waverly. Is that your current address?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
Okay, I'll write that down. What's a good phone number to reach you?
79. How long ago? I'm sorry.
Well, we can talk about your bond violation in just a minute here. You're on bond for a case with Judge Flores that started, the offense was alleged to have occurred in 2022, but I think you didn't see Judge Flores until, well, it might have been 2022 when you first saw him. Let's see here. I see you were arraigned. Pretrial, failed to appear. Pretrial and bond violation. Pretrial again. Bond violation. Held, scheduled for sentence. Bond violation dismissed in July of 2023. So you pled guilty to domestic violence in July of 2023. And then it looked like after that there was some issues getting a sentencing done because you missed court sometimes. And so you're still on bond for that because you haven't been sentenced yet. All right. Mr. Foreman, I'm looking at Mr. Shabazz's Michigan criminal history. It shows 2023 disorderly person. And then it has all dismissed. Some things with no disposition, which I think includes the thing with Judge Flores, because the sentence has not occurred. Yeah, that's really it. There's not a lot here, but we do have the issue of multiple failures to appear and the fact that I have 2 other files to speak to him about today on bond.
Understood, Your Honor, and thank you. Having spoken to Mr. Shabazz, I'll note that he does have a local Lansing address. He has local ties. He lives my information with his girlfriend and their 2 kids. He's not on, as he noted, he's not on probation or parole, though it does appear he is on bond. We would request a personal bond in this matter.
Ma'am, if I could,
Mr. Shabazz,
okay.
I'm taking into consideration that Mr. Shabazz has a Lansing address and apparently ties to the community. This is not an assaultive case. However, I'm also taking into consideration the fact that Mr. Shabazz is alleged to be on bond while this occurred and appears to have multiple failures to appear in his other file. In order to ensure his appearance at court, I do find that personal recognizance is not appropriate. Bond will be set at $2,000, 10%. Subject to the following conditions. Mr. Shabazz, of course, you must attend your court dates. That's first primary. You have to attend court. That is a lot of your legal issues come from not being in court. I gave you March 13 and March 20. You should have those in writing. Do not leave the state without permission. Do not commit any crimes while on bond. Notify the court in writing if you change your address or telephone number. It is important that you understand it's a bond condition to keep us up to date on your address and phone number so that you actually receive court notices. If we have to change a court date or something, you should be able to receive that if you're giving us a good address. You are required to report to pretrial services the first business day after your release. You should receive a brochure from the jail that has a phone number and an address on it. You can either call them or go there in person, make a report, and then report as often as they require. Do not use alcohol, marijuana, or illegal controlled substances while on bond. Do not possess or purchase a firearm or a dangerous weapon. You are not allowed to have any weapons while you're on bond. If you have any of those things, you need to give them to someone else for safekeeping or give them to the police. But you are not allowed to have weapons while on bond. Do you understand your bond, sir? Okay, good.
You said my bond is,
Well, that's for the first file, 2,000, 10%, but we have 2 more files to talk about here, so hold on one second. The next one is the PA 53. Just want to scroll up and see what the most recent bond was on this file. Now, one of the issues is they didn't have a good address for you. $2,000 PR maybe. Okay. This is on the record in State of Michigan versus Micah Shabazz 2200977 SM. Mr. Foreman.
oh, thank you, Your Honor. Jonathan Foreman, Office of Public Defender, here with Mr. Shabazz for purpose of arraignment.
All right. And to be clear, he already has Ms. Schroeder on this case, right?
That's what it appears, yes, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Mr. Shabazz, in this case, it's alleged that you violated conditions of your release. It is alleged that you were given bond conditions back on October 13 of 2023 in this domestic violence case, and that you remain on bond. One of the conditions of your release was do not use alcohol, marijuana, or illegal controlled substances. It is alleged that you violated that condition when you were found to be in possession of methamphetamine. If you violated the conditions of your bond, you face a potential of up to 93 days in jail and or $7,500 in fines for contempt of court. For contempt of court, you have the right to have a trial, not by a jury, just by a judge. However, at that trial, it would have to be proven beyond a reasonable doubt that you did violate the conditions of your bond. You have the right to have an attorney, which you already have one from the public defender's office, so I'm sure your public defender is going to help you handle your bond violation. I don't have a court date for the bond violation. It will be set by the clerks when they get to work tomorrow. Mr. Foreman, on bond for the bond violation.
We've just asked that it be set for hearing, as Your Honor already has. I'll note that in my review of Ms. Schroeder's notes in this file, it looks like Mr. Shabazz might have been in custody during one or multiple of those missed dates. It's a little confusing given the criminal history you read in the last file, Your Honor, but I do trust that Ms. Schroeder knows how to work VineLink and saw what she saw. So given all that, we leave it to the court's discretion while we wait for that bond hearing.
Due to this case being a post disposition, meaning Mr. Shabazz has already pled guilty in this case, he's no longer presumed innocent. He has multiple failures to appear. I do not believe personal recognizance bond will ensure his appearance in court. Bond will be set at $500, 10%. Mr. Shabazz, you have other conditions that still remain on your bond in this file, including a no contact order for Miss Nancy Lopez Moore. Remember that condition remains in place, continues to be a condition of your release. Do not have any direct or indirect contact with Nancy Lopez Moore. You're not to be within 2,000 feet of where she lives, works, or goes to school. All the other conditions of your prior bond are also in place. No alcohol, marijuana, illegal drugs, no firearms, no dangerous weapons, no out-of-state travel, no committing crimes. All of those things continue. I have one more file for you, Mr. Shabazz. This is State of Michigan versus Micah Shabazz, 2402475 SM.
Thank you, Your Honor. Jonathan Foreman, Office of the Public Defender, here with Mr. Shabazz for purposes of arraignment today.
Thank you. Just copying over his address to make sure that the address is up to date, since that seems to be an issue in this file.
Yeah.
In this file, Mr. Shabazz, I have a misdemeanor complaint. This alleges that on or about April 17 of 2024, at a location at Lansing, Ingham County, Michigan, you did, while Meijer was open to the public, steal property of the store that was offered for sale at a price of less than $200. This is a misdemeanor punishable by up to 93 days in jail and or $500 in fines, or 3 times the value of the property stolen, whichever is greater. Do you understand the charge and the possible penalty in this file?
Yes.
Mr. Shabazz, you have the right to have an attorney in this matter. If you can't afford one, we'll see if the public defender will represent you. You have the right to a trial that could be by jury. You have the right to see, hear, and question all of the witnesses against you at trial. You have the right to bring witnesses in your own defense. You could get a subpoena to make them appear. You have the right to testify at your trial if you wanted to, but if you did not want to testify, the prosecutor could not use your silence against you. You have the right to be presumed innocent unless they can prove that you are guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. Mr. Shabazz, you want a public defender for this case as well?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So what happened in this case, Mr. Shabazz, is originally when the case was issued, a summons was mailed to you to appear for court. And it looks like you just never appeared on the summons, which was for September of 2024. After that, you did come into contact with law enforcement, it looks like February 8th of 2025. At that time, they gave you a court date of February 21 for arraignment. February 21, you did not appear for arraignment. When that happened, it looks like Judge Flores waited 48 hours and then issued a warrant for your arrest on February 24. Mr. Foreman, any reason why Mr. Shabazz did not present himself to the court around February 21?
I have nothing for the court on that, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I do not have a court date for Mr. Shabazz because this is an FTA on a non-assaultive case. The clerks will set the date when they get into the court tomorrow. For bond consideration, Mr. Foreman.
I'll maintain my argument for the prior cases, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. This being a retail fraud case, I understand that it's not assaultive and the maximum possible penalty is a likely penalty to be imposed or not going to be significant amounts of incarceration or anything like that. However, I do have concerns that Mr. Shabazz had not presented to court when he was previously given an opportunity to do so, and multiple failures to appear in the other file. So bond in this case is set at 510%. With the condition, show up for court, don't leave the state without permission, do not commit crimes on bond, no alcohol, marijuana, or illegal drugs. Now, Mr. Shabazz, if you bond out before the clerks have set your court date, they're going to mail you a court date to the Waverly address you gave me. But in order to ensure your appearance and that you don't end up with a bunch of warrants and a bunch of bonds that you have to post again, it's important that you consider calling the court Monday afternoon or Tuesday morning and asking when your court dates are for the files that I could not give you a court date, so that you don't end up missing and ending up with warrants again. Okay.
Okay.
What you had here was 2 files for which you don't have court dates and 1 file for which you have 2 court dates. Those dates aren't going to be the same. So it's important that you either receive your mail or get your dates from the court. I'm concerned anytime I can't give someone a court date, they're going to miss. So if you can call the court and ask for your court date, that would be in your best interest.
Okay.
Mr. Foreman, we've covered all the files, the charges, the court dates as much as I could, the bond, the conditions. Anything else for Mr. Shabazz?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Shabazz, you're all set.
Be safe, be well, sleep sweet, and much love.